The Oklahoma Sooners keep stacking defensive line talent in the 2026 recruiting class with another big-time commitment.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. You can go check out his channel on YouTube. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire at USA Today Sports. And you can also read my work covering the Oklahoma Sooners over there at Sooners Wire. And Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners got a big-time commitment along the defensive line in ESPN four-star defensive lineman James Carrington.
Sooners went out there and got a guy that they wanted. I remember Oklahoma was after him for a while, and so they got him, though. He's a ESPN four-star top 300 player. Everywhere else has him as a three-star, so he's kind of a consensus composite high three-star player. And as you all know, when we talk about players in this range, you got to go look at the offer sheet. His is long. From Florida State, USC, Georgia, Oregon, all the way through the SEC. You got South Carolina. You got Texas A&M. You got Bama, LSU. You got Florida, Tennessee, then you go to the Big Ten with Penn State, Michigan, Maryland, Notre Dame, which kind of feels like an ACC and also a Big Ten school, but I digress. You got Ole Miss on there, Washington, just Wisconsin. All the schools you would kind of point towards having linemen, defensive linemen, interior guys, he's on their list. And so it was another pickup that Oklahoma needed, but it's also one that they can afford. Let me explain why real quick, John. I mentioned this to a few folks about why Oklahoma went back after Tank Carrington. He was supposed to visit during June, but it got canceled, and I guess they both rescheduled. Something came up. Actually, it was the new staff was hired, and so they kind of postponed the meeting. Nagy got a chance to watch tape, and I guess he said, yeah, let's bring him in. But Oklahoma has a very young defensive line, and we'll talk about that more in depth when we go through the position breakdown later this week. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification so you don't miss it. But the line is so young, John, that after this season, you're only losing two, Dominic Williams and Grayson Halton. They have to go because they're seniors. They can't stick around. But everybody else has got at least a year, if not two more left. Taking on guys that could be potential projects that have extremely high upside, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I think people are letting the idea that he reclassified kind of fly under the radar a little bit. Like, this is a kid that should be a part of that 2027 recruiting class. He's planning to enroll early at Oklahoma, or I don't know if he'll enroll in the wintertime or in the spring, but he's coming a year early regardless. And that means he's going to have an opportunity to physically develop even more so, especially once he gets into the strength and conditioning and nutrition program. High school development, college development, totally different ball games. So you'll get him young, but you'll have an opportunity to develop him the right way and let his body grow naturally as you feed and get him in the weight room and keep working on his agility and his quickness and things like that. Yeah. He's a talented kid with a really, really solid base already. You get him with Todd Bates as a 16, 17-year-old and let him just grow the kid, both from a technical standpoint, a physical standpoint. It's going to give you the opportunity to make this thing work and make him into what could be a really, really good player for the Oklahoma Sooners. Remember, he was a 5-star prospect in the class before he reclassified, which happens to a lot of them. Happened to Devon Mitchell. It happens. It's going to happen. He's got a really nice base to him, and you don't need him to come in and play right away. You've got time with him. One comp that I heard about him was honestly G-Baby, Grayson Halton. They're about the same size. G-Baby came in at 6'2", roughly 260. He showed himself weighing in earlier this year at like 263, and I think he's now over. He said he's over 270. He comes in about the same as Grayson Halton did. Plus, they're both from California, right? He's in California now.
He's gone coast to coast, so he's been to a few schools. So I have questions about that. While at the same time, I mean, obviously, Nagy and them have weighed the pros and cons with this situation. Plus, he has some pretty good measurables. He's got like a 6'8" wingspan at 6'2". That's pretty absurd for someone of his size. And what does that mean for you all? That dude can get his arms out there. He can get underneath people and he can get around. Swim moves are going to be ridiculous. He's like you said, John, he's got to work on his technique, make sure that he gets all the intangibles down and maintain his quickness as he's growing and gaining all that weight. He could be a force on the interior. Heck, Aaron Donald was 6'1". I mean, I hate to compare everybody to one of the greatest defensive tackles to play the game, but that's something to always take in consideration. The question's always going to be, what's the work ethic look like? What's the determination to be one of the greatest out there? How much sacrifice and compromise are you willing to put into your life and your career in order to become one of the greats? If we see that at a Tank, could be a good thing. If not, he may hit the portal, and guess what we're going to do? Go pick up somebody else. And so, but I like the pickup. Like I said, we were on him for a while, and a lot of schools were on him as well. He decommitted from Florida State earlier last week. And so I'm excited that we were able to add another big body in the middle, but because I don't think that's it. I think we're going to go after at least one, maybe two more.
I mean, it's already 5 deep along the defensive line between defensive tackle and edge. So you have Brian Harris, you have Matthew Nelson, Daniel Norman, and Jake Krell adding to James Carrington. It's a nice recruiting class so far. And again, you trust the development of Todd Bates. I mean, we've seen what he's been able to do with players like Grayson Halton, who again, we didn't see him really play a lot the first couple of years, but then in year 3, he broke out and had a big year. So again, the developmental timeline is always going to look a little bit different. You're going to, every once in a while, you're going to get a true freshman like a Jaden Jackson that can step right in and play. Sometimes it's going to take a year, maybe like a David Stone, who's expected to have a big breakout season this year. But with others, your 3rd or 4th year, it's okay if it takes that long before you become a starter or a significant role player. That's the developmental process. And you want to have guys that are going to trust the process and be willing to be patient with the process. And if he's, circled back to Todd Bates as Oklahoma circled back to him, then you got to believe that there's going to be some trust in the process and trust in Todd Bates to say, hey, listen, don't worry about whether or not you're going to get snaps your first year. Don't worry about whether you're going to get snaps your second year. Just worry about what you can control, what you can do to develop your game to get on the field. And if you do what you're supposed to do and you do what we tell you to do, you're going to get an opportunity. And they've proven as a coaching staff that when you're ready to play, they will play you. Exactly.
And Grayson Halton's going to be the best example that they could point to him of, hey, you just do what we tell you, you can end up like him, because he's already rated up in as a top 150.
He's a top 100. He's a top 100 prospect to me.
He may actually be, top 100. And some people have him as top 100. And so in that case, why not you? Why can't you be that same thing?
Yeah.
Why can't you be that next guy that could be a top 100 guy? So Grayson Halton, like I said, G-Baby is a great example for Tank Carrington of what he needs to do in order to be, potentially great, because G-Baby has he doesn't have all the greatest immeasurables. He's 6'2", 290. He'll be 300 this year, but he's still 6'2", and that's kind of considered the knock on him is that his height when I look at these measurable stuff for here on NFL Draft Buzz. But they still think that he's got the talent to be a force because he got great leverage and he's fast. So if Tank can get to run those 4.8s, have the speed of getting around those linemen and getting in the backfield instantly, here you go. But all it is now, it's on Tank. And I think he can do it. I think he's capable of it. I think anybody's capable of it. He just now needs to show us down the line. So class-wise, right? You're right, John. We got a solid line here going on. Solid class. Yeah. Now we just need to get that last one. I think we'll probably end up getting 2 more defensive linemen just to make sure that we're filling it up heavily, because we're not losing a lot, but we're going to be still young enough to where we can run projects. And then from there, we'll start to see some movement of players into the right positions that they need to be in.
Yeah. So in addition to defensive tackles, Dominic Williams and Grayson Halton, Armason Thomas, Marvin Jones Jr., the edges will also be off to the NFL next year as well. Yep. So you do have some room on the depth chart to continue to add to the defensive line and build it out. Miguel Chavis, Todd Bates, they've done a great job since arriving to Oklahoma to do that. Mm-hmm. In a crazy turn of events, we've actually got some good news on the injury front coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. If you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's workouts, long days on campus, or staying focused through back-to-back classes, hydration is where it all starts. When I'm trying to get my mood right, my energy right for the work week, I got to make sure that my hydration's right. I love coffee. Everybody that knows me will know that coffee is my number one drink. And sometimes I get a little bit behind on my hydration. So I got to go to Drip Drop, and I've been loving it ever since I turned to Drip Drop for my hydration. Drip Drop is doctor developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. My go-to flavor is the fruit punch. It's a game changer after a workout or on those busy days where I've just been pounding coffee all day just to try and keep that energy high. I go to the fruit punch and it gets me right really quickly. And right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard at dripdrop.com. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, I wanted to wish everybody a very happy week 0. College football season's here. And though the Oklahoma Sooners don't play in week 0, it's officially college football season. And the Oklahoma Sooners are actually trending towards some positive news on the injury front, coming out of last weekend's practices and scrimmages. Things are trending in a really good direction for Oklahoma, Jay.
Yeah, it is. And it sounds like they did the alumni, I guess you could say, quote unquote, another scrimmage this weekend. They had the alumni together. If you look at OU's social media accounts, the OU football stuff, you can see the pictures with Barry Switz. That's Rocky Bright there. Dr. Rocky Bright, my apologies. Got to respect the man and his title. But you've got a lot of good stuff, a good fellowshipping and brotherhood getting together. And, I think Mark Clayton had tweeted out, it's like it's really a brotherhood, being able to come back and be together and see each other. Everybody feels like family. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited and happy that we do that every year. And so scrimmage note wise, we got to talk about what went down. About nothing. It was basically a glorified, like a few things of one-on-one, very light, not much, more so situational stuff. And it's getting to the point now, John, that we are 100% in game prep week mode. And I am so excited about it.
Yeah. On the positive injury notes, like Jacob Sexton, Derek Simmons, the offensive tackles, guys that have been projected to start for Oklahoma at offensive tackle who have been battling some concussions, they're expected to be back in the practice lineup this week. And I think that's really good news. We'll see how much they do, if they'll be fully engaged in team or if they'll just go through individual drills with their position groups. That'll be interesting to see. Jaden Ott was back out on the practice field, and that's encouraging as well. Wasn't a full participant, but was involved in individual drills. Again, he's not somebody that you need to worry about getting out there for full practice reps. Again, that's created great opportunity for guys like Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson. From everything I've heard, he was back out at practice too. And so that's a really positive sign for the second-year running back for Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's what you need. You got all the people that we said were going to be back from practice, basically back. I mean, the only ones you really haven't heard much on is Eli Bowen, Giovanni, and Jaden Gibson. Giovanni is... And Grayson Halton, I think Grayson Halton's ready to go. He'll be ready to play week 1 if they need him week 1. I mean, if you truly think about it, Illinois State, we got to respect Illinois State, though. They're number 6 in the FCS top 25. So they are a respectable team that will probably lose by 40, but we will respect them and us covering the spread at 35 and a half. Shout out FanDuel. But at this point, though, truth be told, you don't expect most of these players to need to play the week 1. You're trying to get people past Labor Day into the Michigan game, and Giovanni sounds like he's probably teetering closer to that game, John. That to me is huge. Nothing on Jaden Gibson, just his timeline is still his timeline, and that timeline is that timeline. So we're just going to forget that timeline even exists and just If he shows up, it's icing on the cake. But everybody and Eli Bowen is probably close to the SEC play. So all the injuries that we know and have heard of, for the most part, besides the bigger ones with Eli and the Gibson boys, seems like everybody's back and they're moving around and they're getting themselves ready for the season.
It seems like the coaching staff has done a pretty good job this fall camp of balancing, hey, we're going to practice physical because you can't be physical unless you practice physically.
Right.
But also taking care of their players too and making sure that, okay, if somebody gets dinged up, let's let them rest. We're not going to force them back out there or push them back out there, or we're not going to let themselves push themselves back out there. Sometimes you got to keep a player from being their own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah, save them from themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So, it seems like they've had, obviously the week 2 Michigan game on their mind, but also SEC play. Like, you don't need to peak your team right now. You have to have your team certainly ready to go in week 2, but that isn't necessarily even going to be the best version of Oklahoma football. You want them trending in a positive direction and getting better as you get ready to host Auburn and then get ready to go to the Red River Showdown a few weeks after that. So things are, man, I know it's been an optimistic offseason from us here on Locked On Sooners, but it's hard not to find reasons why to be optimistic. Everything that we're hearing is like, even the offensive line, people aren't really that concerned about the offensive line. Even if you're without Derek Simmons and you're without Jacob Sexton. Okay, if you're without Jacob Sexton, who are you starting at left tackle? Your 5-star true freshman, Michael Fasusi.
That's been getting praised like crazy. Now, granted, I don't like playing true freshmen in positions like that. I'm always going to be terrified about that until they prove me wrong. And Eli Bowen was one of them that proved me wrong. So I can't be mad at the fact that he went out there. Same thing with Jaden Jackson. They both proved me wrong. I am going to always accept I am wrong about if a freshman goes out and plays good. I still generally do not like playing freshmen. But if Susie goes out there and throws people around, can't be mad. I mean, I think Michigan's going to have to start Andrew Babalola, the other 5-star tackle that we were going after, on top of Fasusi and Fogier. And there you go. David Sanders Jr. is going to be starting for Tennessee at right tackle. So, I mean, Colorado started Jordan Seaton. So it's not uncommon,
Yeah, if you're ready, you're ready.
You're ready. And if you can hold your own, we'll take it. Yeah. But again, I don't like it. But at the same time, hey, he proved me wrong. So, yeah, I'm not as concerned about the line. I can't wait to break that one down fully and go through the players and who's there. Mainly because in my eyes, you've got 10 players you can guarantee you'll feel comfortable being on the field this year. Last year, you had about 5 healthy ones, that is. I'm talking about not healthy ones. If the entire line was healthy, you had maybe 7. This year, you've got 10. Actually, you probably got 12 that you're okay with putting out there because you've actually seen them play in games and you've seen them go against teams. The Alabama game, I'm always mention that. Auburn, we did well. Missouri, we did well. We were healthy. And now we did well against LSU as well. You saw when they're healthy, they're solid. That's what's most important. You just need a healthy version of it. But we've got at least 12 players that you're like, okay, we can interchange tackles. We can interchange guards. Heck, I think we can interchange centers too. Like, I don't even talk much about Baklinko or Michaela, but I think that they, with the starting experience they have at Stanford, I think we're good. The snap counts is going to save us more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that's much of a stretch to say you feel much better about the offensive line this year because of the 12 guys that you could play. I mean, if you just rattle it off, it sounds kind of crazy, but you're going to include 2 true freshmen in that group. They haven't played any collegiate snaps, but they're 2 players that have been receiving a ton of praise all offseason, whether it's spring ball or now, and from people who you all would respect their voices, like a Gabe Eichert and a Teddy Lehman, who have been out there and they've been singing the praises of these 2 true freshmen. And similar to what we were hearing from them or others on a guy like Jaden Jackson last year, and so it wouldn't shock me to see those guys play. But you talked about it. Troy Everett, Jake Michael at center. You've got a group of 4 guards with EPL, Heath Zaida, Fabechi Wiwu, and Ryan Fogier at guard. You've got offensive tackles like Jacob Sexton, Derek Simmons, Michael Fasusi. Jake Taylor, Logan Howland, Luke Baklenko. I mean, that's 6. I mean, you're right there. That's 12.
That's 12.
That's 12.
That's
and so
12.
And while most people might be thinking of Logan Howland from the Ole Miss game, he's not going to be the same player right now that he was this time a year ago, because he's developed, because it's a developmental game. And as you know, we've talked a lot about offensive line. We'll talk more about it later this week. We'll talk cornerback as well later this week, but that's another position that, even though Eli Bowen has been out, everything that's coming out of camp is really, really positive about guys like Devon Jordan, Cortland Guillory, Jeremiah Newcomb. Obviously Gentry Williams is, everybody's expecting big things from him. Jacoby Johnson. There's a good group of corners, so you don't feel as dire without Eli Bowen. So even though you do have injuries, Grayson Halton, another one, you feel great about the defensive tackle group. You've got injuries, you feel great about the depth. And that's a really positive place to be in right now. And again, you're trending in a positive direction with some of those guys that are out. They should be back at some point for 2025. Josh Pate, he loves John Mateer. He can't get enough John Mateer. But how much does he love John Mateer? We'll discuss coming up here on Locked On Sooners.
Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a baseball game with family or friends? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group with you if you like that many people. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Pricing on the app actually drops the closer you get to the first pitch. And they got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Like, for example, Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app and be excited for upcoming games, like the day game with the Chicago Cubs. If your kids don't have school this week and you're in the area, go check out a game. Why not? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This week, we are going to give you our season predictions, game by game, for the Oklahoma Sooners in 2025. I know you've been waiting for it. I know you've been asking for it. You've been wanting it. I've been really unsure exactly how to predict this season.
Wow.
But I'm ready. We're going for it. So that's going to be exciting this week. We'll also do some positional breakdowns, some fall camp battles to review. But let's go to what Josh Pate had to say about John Mateer and his bromance with our guy, QB1. He believes that John Mateer is going to win the Heisman, Jay.
Thought that was pretty wild. He did it on the show last week. He went through his predictions for Oklahoma. First off, you saw the JP poll. We talked about it here on the show. I'm not even sure if we still have the graphic here or not. We probably do, probably don't, or whatnot. But, oh, yeah, we do. He got the JP poll up, and he said Oklahoma's number 10 in the country in his eyes. He loves what Oklahoma's putting together. He feels like we solved all the biggest issues we had, gave us the beautiful number 10 spot on his weekly power rating, not rankings. So basically, on a neutral site, he feels like Oklahoma will be favored over everybody below him. May not be by a lot, but he thinks that they'll be favorites in those games. So, but what does that mean, John? It means a lot, actually, because he said John Mateer, he went out and he put a large sum of money on John Mateer to win the Heisman, which I think is kind of wild that someone admitted that, especially with all the fiasco that went on with our boy John Mateer or whatnot. I'm not going to say it, but I'm just going to say, if Josh Pate going to do it, I'm going to do it too. Shout out FanDuel.
Well, he's expecting Oklahoma to be really good this year. You have to be on a good team to win the Heisman. But what we've seen in recent years is you don't have to be on the best team to win the Heisman.
No.
Jaden Daniels was on a 9-3 LSU team. Cam Ward was on a Miami team that didn't make the playoff, didn't even make the conference championship game. And no, he didn't win the Heisman. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. My apologies.
Yeah, Travis Hunter won it. Yeah, Cam Ward was right
sorry,
number 2.
Travis Hunter. I'm sorry, Dion. I'm sorry.
And they were 9-3 as well.
Yeah, and he also was just doing some tremendously ridiculous things, stuff we've never seen before. Charles Woodson in the 90s. Shout out to Charles Woodson and Michigan. I respect Michigan. Got a history.
Yeah, a little bit of respect for the blue. Yeah,
Charles Woodson, one of my favorite players of my youth.
I love Charles Woodson.
Fantastic to watch. But he expects Oklahoma to be good. He expects them to be one of the 10 best teams in the country going into the season. And I think a lot of people are getting on that bandwagon. Will they end up being a 9-3, 10-2 team? That remains to be seen. This is going to be a team, though, that isn't every single game that they're in. They're not going to get blown out in any game. If they lose a game, it'll be by a score. It'll be within double-digit points. Like, they're not going to get beat by 10 or more. I'm going to put that right now. If they lose a game, they will not lose it by 10 or more.
Noted. We'll have that as a short coming up soon. But as John just said it, though, he makes a great point here. And this is what Josh Pate's point was with him picking John Mateer, is that Mateer's going to be the reason Oklahoma ends up in these higher numbers. The defense is still going to do its job, but Mateer's gonna have to go out there and really light things up as the quarterback to get to potentially 10 wins and be a number 10 team in the country. And he has the ability to do that. I mean, we saw him lead the country in touchdowns as a quarterback at 44 last year. He should have been in some sort of conversations of stuff. And unfortunately, he was at Washington State. They finished at 8-4 on the season, but he can replicate that here with no problem, having his OC, having a really good wide receiver room, one of the best running backs in the country. There's going to be a lot of focus going to be going around just him. So around him and not just him. So he doesn't have to worry about it being the John Mateer's got to do everything. He really doesn't have to, but he's going to go out there and do that. He's going to go out there and own it. He's going to go out there and run it. And I'm with Pate, man. Mateer, a lot of people, as they talk about going to go watch those Washington State games, they're like, dude, he's fun to watch. And you made a great point there, John. The winner of the Heisman over the last few years, it's not really always going to the player on the best team. It goes to the player on the best team in the country unless you do something historic, something ridiculous. Right? Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball. That was a ridiculous way of him doing it. That's how he won it. Jaden Daniels was rush for over 1,000 yards. I think like 12 or 1,400 yards plus throwing for 4,000 yards. He had ridiculous numbers on top of the performance. So it takes a lot of that. Joe Burrow got it because he threw for a bunch. Kyler Murray threw for 4,000, ran for 1,500. He was basically the best running back in the country on top of being a quarterback. It takes things like that if you're not the best team in order to win the Heisman. And if Mateer figures out a way to make Oklahoma go undefeated, like some fans were thinking it's a possibility, and he puts up some really ridiculous numbers, bro. Like Prime said, the Heisman gonna be at the house at the crib chilling, waiting for him. That's just basically what it's gonna be.
I mean, if Oklahoma goes undefeated, John Mateer's had a Heisman season.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And even if Oklahoma doesn't go undefeated, John Mateer is going to put up some really highlight-worthy performances and plays. Like, he's going to be one of those guys that people are clipping all the time on social media. Like, did you believe what John Mateer did in that game against Michigan? He's going to do a lot of that kind of thing this year, even though he doesn't have to carry the load. He's just that kind of a player. He's just an off script type player that thrives when he's being tackled. He thrives breaking outside the pocket and making plays with his feet. And so he's going to create some magic. I mean, he's going to create some Sooner magic, guys. Get ready, because we're not long for football season, but the dude's going to be one of the more fun players to watch in college football. Like Garrett Nussmeier, great quarterback. He's not going to do some of the same things that John Mateer does. We might see some of that out of Arch because he's a dual threat guy. We might see some of that out of Lenora Sellers, same way, like a guy that can make some magic happen with his legs. But John Mateer, man, he's going to do so many fun things that it's going to have the college football world talking. And that's what creates Heisman buzz. And that's what gets you to New York.
That's what you need. That's all you need. If you got the buzz, people are going to be all over you. And that's all he's got to do is make sure that there's good buzz about him as a Heisman candidate in their like swimwear. He gonna end up potentially trying to win it.
I'm buying. I'm buying what Josh Pate is selling here. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on every podcast platform and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. We're going to have post-game coverage for you all season long here on the channel. So again, hit the notification bell to let you know when we go live, when those episodes drop, so that you can be tuned in for all of our reactions to every single game. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel on YouTube, Unfair Sports, for more college football and Oklahoma Sooners coverage. You can follow me at John 9 Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner. I'm going to go ahead and just say undefeated.
Oh.
I'm going to say undefeated. Yeah, I'm saying undefeated.
Oh, dropped it.